And you realize that in retrospect, the building permit basically talked about the erection of a structure, which was a permanent structure. So in the new scheme of things, we thought that the development permit really encompasses an approach where the zoning consideration of the structure will be taken into consideration, also the planning standards, and also the structural conditions of the proposed development. So that is why the name development permit came to replace the building permit. So for the development permit, we look at the erection of any physical structure, alteration or transformation of an existing structure, and also if you want to do any alteration in terms of any fittings of any structure, with all that you need the development permit. So it is something like all-encompassing. That's why we thought, or the government thought that development permit rather sounds more sustainable than the building permit. So when you go to the assembly, there are two kinds of permits that you need, a planning permit and a development permit. And I will explain. A planning permit is a written permission that is basically issued to foster compliance of activities related to approved zoning and planning standards. And I will give an example. It's not all development that will require you to erect a physical structure. So if you have a temporary development or you have a kiosk that you want to place somewhere, with that you will need a planning permit. If you are subdividing, you have a big land, you are subdividing the land into two. With that, it is called subdivision. You will need a planning permit. If you want to do a development, but there's already an existing structure, but you want to demolish that structure, you need a demolition permit, and that falls under the category of a planning permit. If you want to do a development, you want to hoard the whole perimeter of the area that you want to develop, and you need a hoarding permit, and that falls under the category of planning permits. But development permit is when you want to develop a permanent structure, make structural alteration to an existing structure, or you want to do some fittings of a particular house. With that, you need a development permit. And that is very clear. And section regulation 44 and 45 of LI 2019 specifies what constitutes a planning and development permit.